So I'm doing this video late in the evening, and I'm doing it whilst the thoughts are somewhat fresh in my mind about my experience going out into London with my best friend to go and just practice cold approaching. Now, to give you a bit more context, because originally I was actually going to be doing a live stream with him either like midway through the day or sort of towards the end of the session, but considering we did about 12 miles of walking, we were just like absolutely like knackered by the end of it. So when we sat down in Wetherspoons in Liverpool Street, and we kind of looked at each other going like, do you want to do a live stream now? And we both actually just like took a breath and we were like, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered. So my apologies that, yeah, I didn't end up doing a live stream in the end, but the only difference would be essentially me and Owen talking about what I'm about to talk about with you now. The only difference would have been the environment. It would have been louder, it would have been busier. Yes, it would have looked cooler with us maybe even hopefully doing like an approach or two, depending on where we were at. But even where we were in the Wetherspoons, yeah, I don't think we would have been like allowed to be like ricocheting in and out. Like security was certainly on high alert with making sure that people were being checked as they were coming in. So it was a really, really good day. So Owen, if I give a bit more context with his situation, he's just come out of a relationship and he tried to go out and just start socializing again on his own. So doing like cold approaching and even just going out with people from work. And he found things to be incredibly slow, especially on the cold approaching front. So he, bless him, and certainly I admire this for him, but he would actually go out into town, not London, a very different city, but he'd go out into town and he would try and go out to approach on his own, and he found that he was struggling. So he'd actually reached out and he was like, Daniel, I want to go out, I want to do some approaching, like I haven't seen you in a little while either, let's hang out. But you know, I need a bit of like a morale boost and a bit of support to go and approach people, but I don't want it to be like a coaching session. And I was totally cool with that, because it meant then that with me going out with him, we can have like just a really laid back experience. And it was fun. So when we got into London, got into Euston and then sort of walked towards Tottenham Court Road, we found it was incredibly busy over the weekend, maybe a bit too busy. So I mean, I suppose it was the bank holiday weekend, the weekend or so before Easter. And as well, I think like the schools for half term had broken up. So Tottenham Court Road and Regent Street, or Oxford Circus and Regent Street, were just absolutely packed. I mean, it was like Christmas busy. You just couldn't see the floor. There were moments that we saw girls, and then, you know, I would take like my sunglasses off because it was also super hot and sunny out. And the moment I'd take my sunglasses off, suddenly the girls were just like lost in a crowd. And there were even moments that I'd lost my best friend in doing the exact same thing as well. Like I sort of like turned to just sort of dodge someone, and then the next thing you know, he's just disappeared in the crowd, and we're like having to call each other going like dude, where are you? So we kind of started there, and then we moved to more quieter areas. We still found Central to be very, very busy, and then we moved down to South Bank, across the river to London Bridge, and then all the way up to Monument to Liverpool Street. And by the time the 4 or 5 hours was up, we were kind of done. We were just absolutely knackered, and I think even with the heat and slight dehydration as well, it certainly took a lot out of us. But what was really cool though is that I got to do some approaching along with my friend, and it was great. Although because of the business, and you know, mostly with like families and groups and stuff out, it was somewhat difficult to find people, believe it or not. In fact, weirdly, I would have said during the week was actually easier to meet people than it was on the weekend, because I did a little bit of approaching during the week. Yeah, it was, I mean, it was difficult. I'm glad that, I still got a handful of approaches in, and so did Owen. But I think as like a takeaway for what we got, because I got a number out of my few approaches, and for him, it was just really an opportunity, or for both of us, it was really just an opportunity to play catch up and see each other. And that meant for us that we had a lot of fun with going out. It didn't really matter that we didn't do loads of approaches, and it really certainly didn't matter that we didn't get like a crazy amount of results. We just got to go out, have fun, spend time with each other, have a catch up. And ultimately, by not really putting the pressure or expectation of what it would be like for a coaching session, and it was just us meeting people and socializing, it meant that we actually had really good interactions. And especially for him, it was great that he was able to approach on his own without me having to say, right, go and talk to her, or him then saying like, oh no, I can't do it, and then me actually coaching him through the situation of like, okay, well, how are you feeling? What's going on in your mind? Why do you think that you're struggling? Let's walk so far to her, and during that time, say out loud what's going through your head and stuff. Like, I didn't have to do that as I would do potentially with clients, and it was great. So by going out and just having fun and not having any expectations, in a way gave both of us that permission to just casually go over and speak to people and not even worry about the I've got to get numbers today, I've got to get dates. It was just simply to go out and socialize. Now, I can't think of the phrase that I'm looking for here, but like maybe it's capacity actually, but like energy and motivation stuff that we were putting into, or maybe not motivation, but certainly like energy that we were putting into the approaching itself was probably realistically at about 20%. So, it was more about us spending time together than it being a session where, like, if I'm out for a day with someone, then we're looking to do maybe like 20 or 30 approaches, and like no excuses for, letting someone go. Like, you have to kind of go for it. And it was just laid back. And we had fun. And we, in that, if anything, really kind of like rippled into the conversations. I met a student who was studying, and, she was really cool. It was still a very brief chat. I was still kind of like warming up a bit, and definitely the same with Owen as well. But all in all, it just showed that by taking the pressure off of trying to perform, it meant that we can actually ease through the hurdles that perhaps maybe we were struggling with. So I'd still had a break from approaching for a while, with everything that had happened with Johnny, and even with me having to put my cat down because of cancer. As you can imagine, like, I just hadn't been in the mood for dating. I tried doing a little bit earlier in the week, and it was so. I was glad that I actually, I managed to do it. I managed to perform, but I just felt like doing it in the company of a friend who wouldn't judge me, and vice versa, actually did wonders for the approaching overall. And I think definitely as a takeaway, it's why this sport, and I'll say sport loosely, really is a two-person game. Yes, guys should be going out and approaching on their own, but I think if you're going to do it on your own, do it for a limited time, because if you do it for too long in a day, yes, okay, you'll drastically improve the skill, you'll develop your independence and stuff. But I've known guys get too strategic with their way of thinking and certainly communicating. And as time goes on with the interactions that they are having, they do start going into this sort of like weird sort of vibe. Whereas if you're going out with a friend, you know, and it can be a wing or whatever as well. But ultimately, if you're going out with a friend, someone that you trust, someone that you know you can have fun with and you can connect with, and, you know, and especially if they're looking to develop their social skills too, which is why I think it's so great that guys in the dating industry or self-development industry overall can meet, they connect, and that there are communities there to help guys. That by going out with someone and almost setting this expectation of like, we're just going to go out, we're going to meet people and just have fun, not worried about the results, we just want to enjoy the process, we just want to have fun with it, and then walk away with a smile on our face. I think you will find that you will get better results even with fewer approaches needed. Being able to joke around with Owen means that when I'm then having my conversations with women, I've got that fun, that playfulness, that social vibe there. And the girls feel it. They feel that energy. They feel that vibe that I am coming across, that I'm having a good time, and I want them to feel that too. Whereas if you're, you know, you're going out and all you're doing is maybe like talking about like strategy stuff with another guy, then it's going to be difficult to develop that creativity or that improvishness when you're speaking to people. And you've also got this sort of like weird mindset. And, you know, for guys that are looking for a relationship or they're looking maybe for something more serious, you know, you're not going to get that connection by just, going into this with a strategy. It's about developing your social skills. And the more that you can learn to have fun with your interactions or conversations, and the more you can hone your conversation skills and active listening and being able to bounce off of another person, which I certainly had with my best friend, then ultimately you're going to get better results. And then it means that you don't need to be spending like entire days going out. Again, it's useful. It's absolutely useful. Not going to deny that. But you'll find though that you can just incorporate doing approaching into your everyday life. Like if you're going to the gym, if you're going to work, if you're going to your hobbies, seeing friends, family, and so on, you're going to be in a place where you're not going to come across as this weird guy. And you're in fact going to be having very down to earth, normal conversations with women. And the more comfortable you get with that, then, you know, the more flirty or the more kind of like cheeky you might be to her. So overall, I had a great time going out with my best friend. I mean, I'd known Owen for about like 8 years, and we actually met through a dating coach that I was filming for, and he was actually one of his client transformations, and we basically had gone out and done approaching together and stuff, you know, and it started off like so, but like things really clicked when we found that we actually just had a love for PlayStation, and at the time, like I think all the Marvel movies were like slowly coming out as well. So we had our geeky topics that we were just able to connect on, and that meant then that when we were going out and we were just talking about all these geeky topics, my goodness, our results just really skyrocketed because we were having fun. And it didn't really matter necessarily about the girls. Yes, we wanted to go on dates and stuff, but it was really about being able to build a connection and letting that just sort of ripple into other interactions that we were both having. So I hope that you do actually get something out of this video. And my takeaway is, why not look to try and go out with friends to go and practice your social skills? It doesn't even have to just be in a cold approach situation. I mean, maybe go and attend like if you've got like a hobby or something, go and attend that. If you've got like events or workshops you want to go to, or even if you're doing like speed dating, why not have a laugh with that? Which maybe there's another story that I'll share where Owen and I actually did go to like speed dating events, and even that was just such a laugh to go and do. But when you're going out with other people and you just have fun and you just enjoy everything, you really will get better results. And it doesn't then matter how long of a day you spend, but you are going to most certainly be warming up into that flow state even faster. And absolutely, you're going to be working on your creativity, your humor, your conversation skills, your improv, and so on in every conversation that you have. So my name is Dan, and this, of course, is my YouTube channel, That Danxiety Guy. Every week, I like to try and put out content that's going to help you with your social anxiety, and in whatever the situation. It doesn't even have to be just with dating. I absolutely love being able to encourage people to work on their social lives so they can go out and make friends and absolutely, you know, create social circles for themselves and even find romance and relationships. You know, you don't get that if you're just sort of sitting indoors and doing absolutely nothing, which I know you guys sometimes are a bit naughty with, shall we say. And I'm a victim of it too. I mean, when I was growing up, I was incredibly shy. I mean, I was like scared to leave the bedroom kind of shy. And I was heavily addicted to playing on the PlayStation. I found that as the easier alternative than going out to socialize with people. And it wasn't until I was 21 years old, where I still hadn't even had my first kiss, that I finally decided to do something about it. And it's difficult when you're in an older, when you become older, because you are so much more aware of your unsociable skills and lack of conversation skills stuff, that it really can feel like it's such a hurdle and a burden to overcome. So, you know, I've been there, I've been on that journey, and, you know, and I was so pleased when, like, within like a year, I just turned everything around, and, you know, I had relationships, I'd had obviously my first kiss and things that happen in between as well. I did all of that. And, you know, for guys watching this, cold approaching really is a fantastic skill to be able to develop. It's not just for speaking to people on the street, it's for every kind of social situation there is that you might need to go up to a stranger and either ask a question or start a conversation of sorts. There is nothing bad or wrong with that. And why I think there are so many health benefits if you can fast track and develop this skill sooner than later and get whatever that substandard skill is up to something that is on par and where it should be, where you can be confident, you can reach that self-actualized version of yourself. So without me sort of like overspieling here and going down all different other topics, if you are someone who struggles with their social anxiety and you would like to be more confident with speaking to people, so it can help you to maybe develop your social skills and conversation skills at work or with friends or family, or building social circles, or definitely to work on your dating life, then I'd love it if you can check out my website, have a look at my different coaching services available. And if you're interested in having a consultation, then definitely have a look at the Calendly link. And hopefully I look forward to speaking to you and how I might be able to help you on your journey. But other than that, like and subscribe to my channel and this video, and certainly look forward to more videos in the future.